Sometimes history doesn't just unfold slowly. It it crystallizes. It all comes into focus on a single day. And for artificial intelligence, that day was October 12th, 2025. This wasn't just another product launch day. This was the moment the entire story of AI pivoted. It shifted from a conversation about some abstract future potential to a really complex global reality. So let's break down exactly what happened on that one pivotal day. The source material we're digging into for this explainer just nails it with this single quote. This is the core theme for everything we're about to unpack. Because on this one day, we saw the AI industry grappling with four massive, tangled up challenges: a brand new arms race, a serious reality check for businesses, world-altering breakthroughs, and that looming question of a financial bubble. All right, so let's start right at the cutting edge with what we're calling the frontier arms race. This is a whole new, much more aggressive phase of competition. Seriously, it's not just about who can build the biggest model anymore. This is a strategic war for technological supremacy, for market capture, and for the most valuable resource of all, people. So, on one side, you've got OpenAI launching this multi-pronged offensive. They're not just building a product, they're trying to capture the entire value stack, everything from high-end enterprise clients down to mass-market creative tools. But on the other side, a major challenger emerges, Ant Group. And their strategy? It's completely different. They're focused on what you could call industrial AI, tools specifically designed to accelerate science and technology, which, by the way, aligns perfectly with China's national goals. Now, here's what's so fascinating when you break down the strategies. You see, OpenAI's GPT-5 Pro is all about creating a reasoning moat for that high-value corporate work. Soar 2, that's aimed squarely at the multi-trillion-dollar media industry. But then look at Ant Group's Ling 1T. Its goal is dominance in competition-level math and coding. This isn't for writing your emails, right? This is for building the next generation of technology itself. And this arms race isn't just about silicon and code. It is absolutely about talent. When Meta poached Andrew Tullock, a co-founder of the super promising startup Thinking Machines, it wasn't just another hire. It was a strategic power move. So the crucial point here is that the top, say 0.01% of AI researchers are now being treated like strategic assets. Acquiring them also means neutralizing a rival, which makes this a really brutal zero-sum game. All this intense competition at the frontier is creating some major ripple effects, which brings us right to our second big theme, AI's enterprise reality check. As all these powerful new models start flooding the market, businesses are discovering a weird paradox. AI is delivering some real value for sure, but it's also creating massive growing pains. This chart just lays the problem out perfectly. Let's take healthcare. For high-skill specialists, AI is a huge win. But for the frontline workers, it's a completely different story. Look at that. Almost 30% feel pressure to use tools they just aren't ready for. This is what's being called the competency gap in action. The tech's capabilities are outpacing the workforce's ability to actually use it well. And that's creating more stress, not more efficiency. And this competency gap has a name, which was coined in a recent Harvard Business Review study: workslop. And we've all seen it, right? AI-generated reports or emails or code that looks plausible on the surface, but it's ultimately shallow or incorrect or just plain useless. It ends up creating this whole hidden layer of review and correction work that can actually destroy productivity. And the scale of this problem is, well, it's staggering. A full 80% of companies using generative AI have seen no significant impact on their bottom line. The rise of workslop helps explain exactly why. Companies are automating that first draft, but they've completely failed to train their people to be excellent editors and critical thinkers. And the result? It's a massive misfire on the whole promise of productivity. But okay, let's step away from the struggles of the corporate world for a second, because AI is also delivering on its promise in some truly profound ways. This brings us to part 3, how AI is reshaping our world from fundamental science all the way down to everyday problems. At the absolute highest level, you have breakthroughs like Thor AI. Researchers used it to solve a computational physics problem that was considered impossible for a century. I mean, just think about that for a second. AI isn't just finding patterns in data anymore. It's becoming a fourth pillar of science, right alongside theory, experimentation, and computation. It's dramatically accelerating the pace of discovery. Now contrast that cosmic scale with this: using an iPhone to tell if an avocado is ripe.
Now, I know it might seem trivial, but it's actually incredibly significant. It democratizes sophisticated AI. It puts a tool in everyone's pocket that could drastically reduce global food waste just by optimizing the supply chain. It's a perfect example of AI solving huge challenges, but from the bottom up.
And of course, this kind of transformative power is forcing governments to act. But here's the thing, they're all choosing very different paths. The EU is pivoting from just regulating AI to actively trying to build its own AI industry. India is focusing on using AI for societal development on a massive scale. And the US, it's tackling it through the legal system, wrestling with these fundamental questions of who even owns an AI-driven invention. You can see a fragmented global order for AI taking shape right before our eyes. Okay, so all of this brings us to our final and maybe most pressing theme, the massive tension between the flood of money pouring into AI and the fragile state of the global economy. It seems like everyone is asking the same question. Bubble or boom? The data is just pulling in two completely opposite directions right now, which is fueling this intense debate about whether this whole AI investment frenzy is even sustainable. On the boom side, you have numbers that are just, well, they're staggering. A 985% jump in job postings for agentic AI roles. That's AI that can take independent action, and that's in the insurance industry alone. This signals a massive sector-wide commitment and investment. Companies are literally betting their futures on this technology. But then, you see this number. Only 8.5% of people say they always trust AI search results. And that points to a dangerously fragile foundation of consumer trust. The entire boom is built on the belief that this tech will be widely adopted and trusted. And, well, that foundation is looking pretty shaky. And it isn't just consumers who are wary. The world's top financial institutions, we're talking the IMF, the Bank of England, are now issuing explicit warnings about a potential AI investment bubble. They see this huge disconnect between the market hype and the real-world productivity gains, which, as we saw with workslop, just aren't showing up yet. So let's put it all together. What does all this mean for the year ahead? Well, the events of October 12th, 2025 make one thing crystal clear. The challenges for AI are no longer just about the technology. They're about strategy, they're about governance, and they're about real-world integration. Looking ahead to 2026, every major player has a new imperative. Tech leaders have to build platforms that are actually defensible. Businesses, they need to shift their focus from just buying AI to actually training their people. Policymakers have to figure out how to craft agile rules for a world of exponential change. And investors, they need to look past all the hype and start demanding real, measurable economic value. Ultimately, that one day in October showed us that the AI era isn't some future promise anymore. It has arrived. It's messy, it's powerful, and it's full of contradictions. The real question is no longer about the technology's potential. It's about whether we, as a society, are truly ready to manage it.